My oh my, what an exciting time to be a Jump Space fan. This game's going places, people, and I cannot wait to see how far it gets. Uh, we had our first look today at some of the new content coming very soon to Jump Space. They didn't give a date, but I know a couple weeks ago they did mention that it should be out in about a month. Not sure if that still holds true. We will see. We will keep our fingers crossed. Pretty much everything that they introduced today, revealed today, I think is going to be great additions to the game. I do have some notes. I have some critiques I want to mention, but they're nothing really compared to what was revealed today. With that out of the way, let's jump into it. My name is Vault Zero. I've been covering Jump Space. I plan to continue to cover it for as long as the game's around, as long as the lights are on. I'm trying to hit 1,000 subscribers before the end of the year, so if you guys could help me out there, that would be really appreciated. Let's get into it. So the current state of the game, they're primarily working on more stability for Xbox, especially Xbox Series S. That affects yours truly. I'm trying to upgrade to an X, but right now, still stuck on the S. So really excited for those updates. They're going to be working on server browsers and save issues. They're also going to be talking about developing the game for at least 2 more years. That's really exciting, and it's really reassuring to hear. I'm super excited about that. Yeah. The one thing you hate is when a game comes out and you're like, hey, this game's pretty fun. And, funding for it gets cut because it's not hitting metrics, 6 months in. Speaking of metrics, they actually have reached 400,000 sales. So big congratulations to Keepsake Games. Keep up the good work, guys. Love the product. Can't wait to see what the game becomes in the future. Moving on from there, let's jump into one of the biggest things they revealed, which is melee weapons. I'm really excited about this. At current, there are going to be 2 melee weapons. They showed off the crowbar and the wrench, a 2-handed wrench of sorts. Very industrial with how they're going with the melee. I was a bit disappointed that we didn't get any more traditional style melees, like a sword or a dagger or anything like that. But the wrench, I like the way it looks, and the crowbar, can't say it's something I'm going to be using, but hey, you guys might like it. One thing I was surprised about, however, is they added a parry system when it comes to the melee. When you block, you're going to be receiving 50% damage reduction. Parrying, a well-timed parry is going to actually reflect the bolts back at the Legion. And I think that's really cool. Very unexpected. Very Star Wars, well, not Star Wars, lightsaber-esque, if you will. So that's really cool. So we're going to talk about a couple of smaller things, and then we'll jump back into some of the major things they announced. They talked about adding new discoverable things in sectors such as jump pads and boost pads. That's going to be cool. It's going to be a new way to traverse the environment, and it's going to add a little layer of what's the word I'm looking at? Variation between missions. Additionally, they're adding events. They've confirmed a Halloween event. There's going to be one for Christmas, Midsummer. There's going to be quests and other stuff during the holiday periods. You can already see, like I'll put up a video here, Boz, the quartermaster, is wearing a helmet, a pumpkin helmet. They mentioned that they're not going to over-decorate with pumpkins and stuff, but there will be some rewards that we can get for these quests. Makes you really wonder what those are going to be like. They're going to add a bar in the hangar at some point, similar to the one that we have on the ship, but they're going to add one in the hangar. I think that's going to be cool. It's going to make it more of a social hub at the hangar. So that'll be nice. So let's look at vendors. Vendors is a huge thing that they're adding. It's very well anticipated because right now credits are pretty much useless. I say pretty much they are useless. I'm sure you have a stack of them just like I do. I think I'm currently sitting at about 10,000, which is probably not a lot, but hey. All weapons, this is what surprised me, all weapons will be available at the quartermaster. There will be some RNG on which mark will be available, but they will be available. So that will certainly be an interesting thing to go into preparation for missions. I'm really looking forward to this because right now I just for whatever reason I just don't run into a lot of weapons in my game. I found my first Mark 1 today, and then I turned around in the same mission and found another Mark 1. and I've been playing for about 20 hours, and that's the only Mark ones I've found so far. Not complaining, just saying that they're a little harder to find. So that this update that will add them to the store, I think something I'm going to like a lot, because I feel like, hey man, I just don't want to drop these weapons that I have, because it's like, when's the next time I'm going to find them, But with them being available in the vendors, that's something that's going to be greatly appreciated. In addition to that, we're going to be able to buy artifacts, stems, repair kits, and these will load directly onto your ship. You're not going to have to worry about having inventory space for these. They're going to load directly onto your ship. And how that's going to work is you're not going to have to worry about it being in your taking up inventory space. You're going to walk up to bars, you're going to see the items laying on the counter. There will be a prompt for you to queue them for preparation. Once you have done that, it'll deduct the credits from your account, and then it will end up on your ship at the start of the mission. Pretty great thing to be added here. The weapons is probably the thing I'm most excited about. So let's move on to the sector modifiers. Unfortunately, the visuals are not done yet, but there will be active events such as Legion Strikes Force, Materia Cloud Ridge Planets, weapon stashes, and other kinds of missions that are thematically based throughout sectors. It's not going to be in this update, but the sector modifiers are planned for the final mission. So that's going to be something that's going to be pretty exciting. The Dart, they're working on the Dart, and it's going to add an escape hatch. It's going to currently work as a teleporter to the exterior and to the back into the interior of the ship. The animation will be added so that you can climb in and out, and this is going to come in the content patch number 1. They wanted to note that they're looking at potentially adding a pizza maker and ammo station, but it's a very small ship, so I honestly would not hold my breath on whether or not the pizza maker and the ammo station come to the Dart. Personally, I'm fine with the Dart as is. I think it's in a very good state for what it is now. It's my favorite ship. I like the Catamaran a lot, but the Dart, it's just it's such a dog, man. It's so good at combat. Moving on from there, though, we're going to talk a little bit about the player trait system. They touched on it a little bit. It's going to be upgrading yourself, your character. It's not necessarily a skill tree, so that's going to be coming up in Content Update 2. Interested to see, if it's not a skill tree, what exactly it may be. I have a sneaking suspicion it will evolve into a skill tree. Grenades are not going to be this update. They are working on them, but they work very well with gravity. That's going to be something I'm really excited about. Anything that improves the combat, honestly, I'm really excited about. They are aware of the inventory slot restrictions, and they're talking about it. I'm going to get back to that in just 1 second, because that's the one critique I have. The hangar power grid is going to be something that they will be adding, and that is going to be a lifesaver. I've get so annoyed with the idea that, hey, okay, you've installed this new mod, but you need to also get a new ship and install it on the power grid in there too before it'll actually start working. This way you can do everything all in one place at the hangar. And then missions with power grid puzzles, speaking of power grids, are in the future. So that is going to be good. They are also working on a big rework overall for the power grid. So that we can expect to see that whenever that comes to the hangar. So let's get into my critiques, because I think everything I mentioned before is great, and I'm really excited for it. I'm excited for more melee weapons. The deflection is awesome. The wrench, I think, looks cool. Like I said, they went with an industrial theme. Not what I would have went with, but it fits the theme of the game. But let's get into the slot issues. They talked about that they were surprised that players didn't want to lose their weapons between missions, and that they're kind of hoard weapons by keeping a hold of them between missions, and that kind of limits what they can do in the mission because you've only got 4 inventory slots. I'm a little confused. I don't think that people holding on to their, or wanting to hold on to their loot is a new phenomena. I'm not trying to come across too critical, but I was a little annoyed by their reaction to wanting most people want like a locker in the hangar for us to store our weapons in, and I think that's a very simple ask. I really do, um, because there's only like once you get a Mark II of a weapon or a Mark III, you're not going to hold on to your Mark One or your non-marked weapon. You're going to get rid of it. You're going to scrap it for materia or sell it for salvage at the end of a mission. So it's not like you're hoarding, and it's not like there's a finite of weapons in the game, right? Like you're not going to go into a mission and be like, all right, oh, I see, a side clip laying here, a Mark III, and then people be like, well, damn, that was the only Mark III side clip in this entire sector for any player. So it's not like it has that big of ramifications. And they mentioned that it's just they're discussing whether that's the kind of game they want to be. And I think you've got to lift these restrictions on inventory. You just can't we can't continue in the way we are headed. For this game to be successful, I'm not trying to put an ultimatum out. In my opinion, it needs an inventory rework. And it could be as simple as adding a locker in the hangar. Because think about it, the multi-tool already takes up a slot, and it should have its own slot, right? It should not take up a slot. But then they add melee. That's going to take up another slot. So let me paint you this picture. You've got your weapon, you got your Mark II, your Mark III, whatever have you. You've got your healing item, your healing stem. You've got your melee weapon, and you've got your multi-tool. Already you can hold nothing else. You're going to have to put something down. So it just really puts the devs in the position where they got to look at it and be like, hey, for this game to continue to be enjoyable for the majority of players, we're going to have to look at making this change. And I understand they're already talking about it, and I'm not trying to come across overly critical, but what I'm trying to do more than anything is really move the needle on the inventory and storage restrictions. That's really my only critique for the game at this current moment. I think what they have done with the game outside of the inventory and storage is remarkable. I think this is just the last thing they really need to work on. But I would love to hear what you guys think. I'm going to put a poll on my page. Would you guys like to see an inventory system implemented into the game? Why not? How would you do it? Would it be something as simple as a locker system? You guys let me know down in the comments. And like I said, I will put that poll on my community page. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will be back. Next video will 100% be guaranteed to be my first Jump Space lore video. I'm going to start out talking about the Atiran and the Atiran Coalition. I hope you guys check that out. Thank you again so much for watching, and I will catch you guys in the stars.